All right, so this is the PDF. It's only a couple pages long, but this kind of covers everything you'll see between 9:50, really 9:30 and 10:30. This is the framework that I use. So these are also kind of the classifications that I use in the other videos. So the first thing you'll see is we've got the question. So this is kind of the question we're kind of solving. Then these are the classifications. So these are each of the kind of stages you'll see at 9:50. There's really only these 6 that are tradable. Anything outside of it is really low probability. So you have reversal at 10 a.m., reversal prior to 10 a.m., consolidation, simple retracement, which typically happens on Monday, expansion stage, which you can have turtle soup at 10:30, and retracement stage because of news at 10 a.m. This is your lowest probability ones. Best to avoid these early on. Yep, the PDF is shared in Discord. Here's the link. So if you click on that, it'll send you to the Q&A post. And then you can download the V4, which is right at the bottom. But all of these classifications can be simplified in 2 different things, which would be your categories. So you either have a retracement at 10 a.m. Then you can use your entry at or after 10 a.m. Okay, so you're going to watch for simple power of 3 within the 20 minutes. Or you have a reversal at 10 a.m. So you can either get an entry before targeting the reversal point or possibly after, which is what we did today, right? So the classification today would be reversal at 10 a.m. We entered after, and it would be your A classification, reversal at 10 a.m. within a couple minutes, entry before or after, right? So if you look at every single screenshot within the macro review, within backtesting data that you may have yourself, every single 1050 will fall within these kind of, so this is your main categories and then this is your subsections, but everything will fall within here. Now we can further classify this using the 930 Judas swing. So all of this to say, I suggest you backtest yourself just to kind of see how it works, but this is kind of the general framework. Anyways, so you have Judas swing that forms between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. Now you can pair this with what it's expected to do at 10 a.m. So you either have a 9:30 open that creates a run on stops, purge and revert. So you'll see liquidity target at pre-market, 9:30 open happens, we run for that liquidity and then it reverses. That's very obvious to see most times, and it's kind of, it's easy to spot and you can kind of frame a setup just based on that. But if you see this 9:30 run on stops, these are the 2 kind of, you can either get a reversal or retracement at 10 a.m. Okay, and then based off this, obviously you go into here. It's kind of flipped backwards. I probably will rearrange the order, but it is what it is right now. If you have a 940 Judas swing before the macro, where we run stops around 940-ish, and then the macro creates a low risk buy or low risk sell opportunity, that's when you get a retracement at 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. we'll have a fair value gap. We retrace into it right at 10 a.m. and then displace for the rest of the macro. If you don't see either one of these, you see 10 a.m. finally sweep stops, most likely creates the higher low of the session, and you have a reversal at 10 a.m. Okay, so that falls right into these 2 categories. This is most probable when 930 fails to run expected liquidity targets, which is exactly what we got today, right? Review the screenshots we sent into predictions chat. We had a failed 930 Judas, expected to run liquidity targets. We had 10 a.m. reversal after, entry before, possibly after. Now, right before the macro timer, right at 9:50, if we run out stops right at 9:50, or maybe it's like 9:49-ish, same thing, and we start to leave, you can see an expansion move that does not really have a clean entry. So if it was efficiently delivered, you'll get a low resistance liquidity run, meaning it'll be quick. There's not really any retracement entry given, and we'll just kind of expand to the target. And those kind of days are very hard to trade if you're new. I don't really like trading these kind of days either. If we're inefficiently delivered, meaning there's a fair value gap that formed right at the bottom or at the top, right as 950 ran out stops. This is probably the hardest one besides the news to trade, because it'll be a high resistance liquidity run, meaning we're bouncing back up and forth. within that fair value gap, and then it kind of displaces at the end of the macro. So these ones are also the kind of ones you want to avoid, as well as the news at 10 a.m. when you're early on. If we see SMT prior to 10 a.m., most times price will come out stupid again. That's the same thing with if 930 creates to SMT where ES runs out their stops and NQ fails to, we most likely will return to that 930 high. Okay, so if we see SMT prior to 10 a.m., most times we'll return, when it says come and sweep it out again, that means we'll return to the 930 higher low. And this can create a high probability 1030, 1045 entry towards the AM higher low. That's your opening range model. Okay. Now this is the big idea here. Review the market, right? That's what I mentioned earlier today. Is there enough data at 950 for us to take a trade in the first 10 minutes of the macro? So using what you know about this, okay, did we get a 930 Judas? Yes. Okay, so that increased the probability that we can take a trade before 10 a.m. Did we have a run on stops? Is there a clear classification that we're in and we're expecting some sort of retracement reversal at 10 a.m.? If all those things are very clear to you, then you can take a trade at 950 within the first 10 minutes of the macro. If not, if we're expecting a reversal at 10 a.m., if we don't have enough data to kind of see this, if it's a news, if we failed to run out stops prior to 10 a.m., if we're consolidating between 9:45 and 10, all those things will mean that we have to wait. Okay, so we're going to wait for after 10 a.m. or maybe at 10 a.m. to frame a trade. And within those last 10 minutes of the macro, we'll find an entry, most likely a reversal entry, towards the opposing side of the market. Now, that doesn't mean that this is the worst one and this is the better one. I actually prefer taking this over the previous, but learning to kind of condition your mind to frame it into these kind of 2 10-minute windows will increase your strike rate and probability of it playing out, especially if you pair it up with all of this data here. If we don't see any reversal between 9:30 and 10:30, then you expect that turtle soup between right around 10:40, 10:45-ish. Sometimes you get that turtle soup back into 50% of the daily range. So if you see, can I draw? Oh, I can't. If you see something like this where 9:30 opens, we displace all the way, we don't get any run-on stops, and then right around 10:30 here, we start to consolidate back and forth. A lot of times what you'll see is a sweep of stops and then returns into 50% of this daily range. Okay, now that also applies for the other side. So if we see an extended range between 9:30 and 10:30 upwards, something like this, 9:30 opens, we don't get a Judas swing there. Maybe we get a slight Judas, trade back up. 10:30 we start to consolidate. You'll see most likely if we consolidate the top end, we see a run on stops and then returns back into 50% of this. Okay. So those are your frameworks. This one rarely happens. It only happens really when we're expanding towards a higher time frame target. And then this rest of the stuff is for just further data. So this right here would be 10:30 stuff. So you either can frame a market maker model around the SMR around 10:30, which is typically what you see me trade, 10:20 continuation, stuff like that. Now, possible reversals happen when 10 a.m. does not reverse, which is what you see in here as well. So this kind of all is its own section. This is its own section. This is its own section here. RTH gap can even further the bias. So if you have an RTH gap, it's good to mark that out. It's a lot of data for sure. So just download this, and if you have screenshots of 950 macro, or you can just apply to all the macro review pictures that I've posted. There's probably at least 100 or 200 screenshots, I assume, something like that in there. And you'll see that basically every single time it plays out. And if you get good at studying this, that means almost every day you'll find a trade idea just based off this. It's definitely difficult. It's not going to come easy. But that being said, I mean, if you're able to capture 20 points every single day just off of this framework, I think it's going to be worth your studying time. Yeah, macro view pictures. It's a separate tab in Discord. If you look at the Patreon section, it's underneath daily bias. There's a green check mark with a macro review. If you click on that, there's a bunch of screenshots in there. This here is kind of just a advanced topic. This is using time fib. So all the guys who are familiar with time fib, this will make more sense to you. If you have no idea what this is about, just completely ignore it. Okay, it's not necessary at all for the 950 macro. But this is basically saying if we're expecting a reversal, you can find your breaker, use time fib entries to further increase your precision, and then kind of some stuff in here that you probably should just read later on. This is just unfinished data, so depending on the classifications, you have more kind of data in here. These are obviously not finished. So if we have news, this is probably what you want to study. Which liquidity pool do we most recently ran out for current dealing range within discounted premium? Now news are most difficult because you can either have your reversal at 10 a.m. or your continuation at 10 a.m. You typically don't have a retracement at 10 a.m. That's why it's really difficult early on to trade it. Even now, I don't like trading news days. In the past 2 days we had news, and I just waited till after it. So it's best if you have a news, it's best to avoid them early on. But I would also say if you do decide to trade these, probably the best tip would be wait for after 10 a.m. So if you have a bias and then 10 a.m. comes and goes in that directional bias and closes that way, then you could enter, hypothetically, right, on demo. But if price starts wicking back and forth during that 10 a.m. news, I would just say wait for probably either after the macro if you're comfortable trading silver bullet, or you just avoid the macro altogether and wait for 10:30. All this to say, if you have any questions on this, feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, I would say just study this. It will take a while for you to probably apply it all in real time. I definitely don't apply all this in real time. But this is the kind of framework we use today, right? The same exact stuff. And more often than not, if you can build your morning session based off this. Actually, we can look at some examples right now. I don't know how I want to do this. Is my Notion open? Nope. All right, we'll just end the stream. We'll close this out. So if you have any questions, oh, here's the markets. If you want to look at this really quick. Nothing much there, right? So between 9:45 and 11, we're looking at consolidation. So expect 11 a.m. to be the same exact thing we saw here at 10. Expect a Judas, sweep and reverse, purge and revert right at 11. So this latter part of the 1050 macro between here and here, here and here, this would be your entry window. Okay, preferably. And so look for Judas at 11, then expansion between these two. Take a screenshot, share it to predictions chat. The second part, the second PDF based off of this stuff, they were applying the stages of delivery within Silver Bullet Hour and such. I only have like 5 or so screenshots. If you want the data now, just shoot me a DM. I'll share it to you for sure. But I kind of want to just get at least 20 to 30 different screenshots for me to feel comfortable applying it in real time. But that'll most likely do it for today. Watch that Judas within 11, and then purge and revert. I would assume maybe fill a gap here on the 2-minute. Yeah. You want to dip into the sell side, reach into here, and then reverse up to the buy side. That would be nice because these are relatively equal. So watch right up here now. Yeah, be careful in the PM session because NFP protocol this week, so expect it to be low probability. Tomorrow will be really, really low probability. We'll take a poll probably by the end of the day. I'll either stream tomorrow and we'll kind of just review price action, or oh, that is true. Sorry, someone just said something. So you don't think we're going for sell side anymore? yeah, if we're looking at AM high to low, then you would be expecting a Judah swing up, right? It's definitely difficult to tell. That's why I'm not trying to trade it. I just kind of want to see how it would play out. If we get that Judah swing up into this gap here, oh, I didn't even see that. We do have this gap up here. If we get the Judah swing up, then we should run out AM low again. Anyways, it's later into the day, so this kind of stuff doesn't really happen after 11. What was I saying? Yeah, we'll take a poll tomorrow and just see if we want to do an actual stream or just a back to C stream. So if you decide to trade the rest of the day, use proper risk management. Don't do anything stupid. If you already took that one win, I'd say just step away and just tape read if you want. But if you have any questions, want any PDF data, feel free to DM me. I'll be more than happy to help you. And until I see you guys either tomorrow or Friday, have a great rest of your day. Good luck, good trading, stay safe, and peace.